Hi everyone. So this week I published a post from Dora in Croatia, and Dora's question was about having too many notes. And I felt, as I said in the post, very inadequate about answering this because I have too much stuff as well. So I wrote a post and I sent it to Dora, and then she wrote back to me, which I didn't include in the post, but she wrote back to me asking for some clarifications. I thought I'd just make a video of that and show her and you the process that I went through when I'm talking about attaching notes to a thing you're actually doing. So I'm going to show you my screen and then I'll be back to wrap up. Right, so here we are in OmniFocus, which is my task manager, and I've got so much to say about OmniFocus, so I'll try and keep it simple here. But basically what we're looking at here is my to-do list. I've got 64 things on my to-do list at the moment, and I've filed them by date due. So we're actually looking at this item here, and like all good to-do list software, and I think Omni's the best, frankly, there's a comments box down here. And what I do with Omni is that I forward emails to it so that it automatically pre-populates in the comment box my email chain. This is all the discussion I've had with Dora so far. See, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes in Blogland, and a lot of it is just talking to people who've suggested ideas and talking with authors. So Dora wrote to me asking me, how do I organise my notes? Do I need to cull them? I wrote her the post. I sent her the post earlier before I published it, and she wrote back to me, and I didn't have time to include what she wrote back to me, but I thought she raised some really good points, so I thought I'd save it for a video. So here is the key point I want to respond to at the moment. She's talking here about my idea, which was to have a to-do list item and to put things in and attach things to the to-do list item. And she said, fair enough too, how do I stop that becoming really huge and overflowing as well? And it's a legitimate concern, but I just thought I'd show you how I do it because I have a piece of writing that I want to start. So let me show you my process, or at least the beginning of it. So here in this to-do list item is a conversation ongoing that I'm having with Pat Thompson, who runs the excellent Patter blog. Pat and I wrote together about PhD student blogging. We did a book with Deborah Lupton. So we've had a sort of number of really fruitful collaborations. She's one of my favourite people in the world. Hi, Pat. So Pat suggested we meet up at the Society for Research in Higher Education conference in December, which I usually go to in Wales. A long trip for me. Pat lives in Nottingham, so we thought it would be a great opportunity to meet up and do something. Pat's idea, which she outlined to me in the first mail, was about doing something around what she's calling the doctoral imaginary. How do people imagine PhD candidates and what effects does this have in real life? And she was asking me in this email, who do I think would be great to invite? So I suggested my friend Nigel and my friend Pauline. And then I thought Pauline and I could probably do a paper together where we could combine our research. So Pauline does research on superheroes and comic books and portrayals of academic in popular fiction and media. She's fantastic. She's great fun. We always have a good fun time meeting up, but we've never written anything together, and I think this is our chance. In my research that I do with Will Grant and Hannah Suleiman, we've looked at employability, and we found that 80% of people looking for a researcher don't put PhD in the ad, and we've been wondering why this is, And one of the sort of theories that I've come up with in my mind is the sort of popular portrayal of PhD students, try saying that one 3 times fast, in the media generally, in films and TVs and books. Is that actually affecting the way that employers think about PhD students? I mean, if you think about a film like, or a TV series like Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper is this really socially awkward geek. Do these stereotypes just sit with employers in their minds? And this is why they're not asking for PhD students. So I wrote to Pauline, because this seemed more up Pauline's alley than me, and I said, what's your ideas about it? I've got this idea, and then we had this sort of backwards and forwards because we just love to chat, and we start to sort of think about a couple of things that we can do. So that's our discussion there, and it's got some really good ideas starting off. I won't show you the whole lot. I'll just pick a few things out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the document that Pat has made, get the Ghost of Sheldon Cooper, that's the name of my article, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make the name of our paper, Pauline, it's on. It's got a to-do list. I have this saying, if it's in Omni, it happens. Get stuff published, and I'm going to file it also under writing and presenting. So it's a proper thing now. And I'm going to take the Google document link that Pat made, where we have to, oops, how have I got two of those? Let me just take that one. I've got the Google document link from Pat's document. I'm going to put it here because that's the one that I have to start writing into. Okay, so I won't lose it. It also means I can tick this one off because the important piece of information has now been extracted. All right, so now I'm going to come back to my email with Pauline, and I'm going to pick through a couple of things that we're going to do. So Pauline, one thing we're talking about is interviewing recruiters and employers and showing them pictures of PhD students in the media and getting their responses to it. So she's got a couple of suggestions here. So I'm just going to clip that little bit out of there, and I'll start compiling a list of flashcards we have to make. And we've got some ideas there. And there's a question here. How do we determine who's recognisably a PhD or what for the people you'll be interviewing? So I think that's a really good point. I'm just going to put questions. And their questions I'll address later. Okay. Now, I remember that I was having a really silly time creating a Pinterest board of fake academics years ago, actually. I haven't contributed to it for ages, but I know that it's there. So if I put Pinterest here, hopefully it'll log in as me auto-magically. Here we go. And I know that I had a whole lot of pins of the Academic Hall of Fame. See this? See, some of these ideas just kick around for ages and you don't know why you're putting stuff around. But what I've done here, and I often play with my sister here, is I just put pictures of both real and imaginary people who are identified as academics. So Dr. Evil here, you know, we've got Richard Dawkins, no coincidence putting those together, I promise you. We've got President Bartlett from the West Wing. So actually, it's a really good source of information for making my flashcards. So I'm just going to cut and paste to remind myself that there's the Pinterest board. And I will use that to make the flashcards. Okay, great. So now I'm going to think about what are the initial kind of reading that we should do. So somewhere down in here, Pauline suggested that she was going to start reading a book, Frances Kelly's book here. She's got a book called The Idea of the PhD, Doctorate in the 21st Century Imagination. And that really sounds absolutely relevant to this paper. So I'm going to put this here as a reference that I need to read. And I'm just going to click on that, which is silly. I'm going to look for that book. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab The Idea of the PhD, Kelly, and there it is. So that's it on Amazon. Let's have a look. How expensive is it? Insanely expensive on Kindle. Come on, Kindle. That's ridiculous. All right. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it here. Somehow I'll have to source that. I might get that through the library. Okay, so that's a book I can read. Somewhere else in this email chain that I know that I was talking with Pauline about, I said to her that she should read a paper by Bill Green. I'm going to look for that paper now. Cannot remember what it was called. I know that Bill wrote it. That's all I know. Bill Green. Now, if I look here in supervision and write Bill Green, I can see that I have this article here, which is about supervision. Okay, so I'm going to grab a link to that and I'm going to copy that link and I'm going to put it here. Okay. So I think you can see how you can start to use the comment section of your task manager to start putting links to things and notes to yourself that'll be useful for the writing process. So that's all there is to it. Hopefully that made some sense to you. If not, write to me. Actually, the best posts come from your problems. So looking forward to hearing the next one, and I'll see you next week.